Another thing I want you to do is to face your fears. Look at the person next to you and say, face your fears. You've got to start facing your fears. Facing your fears. Elvis touched on that this morning. We pray and we ask God, to give us somebody that's going to bring us peace, and then He gives us somebody that gets on the pits of our last nerve. That's because He wants you to face your fears. If you don't like sales calls, pick up the phone. If you don't like network marketing, go to a party and start talking about what you do. Face your fears. Whatever is standing in the way of you stepping into your greatness, you need to start doing just that. You're not going to get stronger sitting on the couch. It just don't work that way. So begin by facing your fears. The Doctor's Book of Home Remedies recommends that you pick long lines in a grocery store just to show yourself that you can survive the frustration of waiting a few extra minutes. Some of us have a tough time waiting. We live in an instant society. Instant coffee, instant popcorn, instant everything. We want instant everything. We want what we want, and we want it when? Right now. So, face your fears. If you don't like waiting, wait a little while. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting. If you can be lied about and don't deal in lies. If you can be hated and not give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. So start, my friends, by facing your fears, but also remembering that as you face your fears, you should count your blessings. Does that make sense to anybody? I heard a poet say once that you should count your blessings instead of your crosses. Count your gains instead of your losses. Count your joys instead of your woes. Count your friends instead of your foes. Count your smiles instead of your tears. Count your courage instead of your fears. But you see, my friends, fear is the stopper that stops us before we get started. We're worried about, we're trying to figure out how can we get past our stop. Start facing your fears. The biggest challenge I have is getting past my stop. Because y'all ever get started in something only to stop 2 feet later and say, well, I'm going to just put this down for a little while. Y'all might not know that, but I've done it on a time or two. But once I started facing those things that encouraged me to stop and say, you know what, I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep moving. Confucius once said that it doesn't matter how slow you go, just as long as you don't stop. So you've got to keep moving in the right direction, even if you're going incrementally. Even if, your fear is making 10 calls a day, start by making 2. If your goal is to reach out to 10 people a day and you're scared to talk to people, start by talking to 1. Start slow. I think I can. I think I can. Y'all remember that story, right?
That's right.
Little engine that could. There's something to be learned. And I read to my son every day. And he's got a number of wonderful books. But one of them is The Little Engine That Could. And there's something to be learned from these Disney stories.
Right.
There's some serious moral meanings behind these Disney stories if you really read them. But there's this little engine, and everybody thought that he couldn't. And he had this long caboose behind him. And they said, you're not going to be able to pull this caboose up this hill. And he was afraid that he wasn't going to be able to do it as well. But you know what? He faced his fears. And he said, I think I can. I think I can. And he got a little louder. I think I can. I think I can. And a little louder. I think I can. I think I can. Honey, I know I can do this. So he began to face his fears. So what I want to encourage you to do is to begin by facing your own.